Ghost Tales.
Hey, girlies and ghoulies, and welcome to the Girly Ghost Tales podcast. We're your hosts for this evening. I'm Amber.
And I'm Leah. And tonight we step behind the velvet curtains and into the dimly lit halls of funeral homes. These are places meant for mourning, remembrance, and final goodbyes, but some say the spirits of the departed never truly leave. From whispered voices in empty chapels to shadows moving among the caskets, we're exploring the haunted side of funeral homes.
So sit back, grab some popcorn, and get comfy, and
To the grave we go.
I couldn't really find a whole lot. I wanted to find just one specific one, but I don't know. Apparently, I wasn't doing a good enough job. So I found a couple good stories on Reddit. This one is under the paranormal subreddit. I think they all are actually. From Morgan Bryant 994, and it's called "My Experiences Growing Up in an Extremely Haunted Funeral Home as a Child." Hello everyone, my name is Megan. I'm 35 years old and I grew up in Kentucky. Starting when I was about 5, my parents bought a funeral home. It was well over 100 years old when we bought it. They owned and ran the funeral home, and it's a pretty large funeral home in our area. We lived in the upstairs area of the funeral home. They still own and operate it today, and I visit pretty regularly and occasionally have experiences. I had a very interesting childhood growing up. This is going to be a long read. As a child, I had many experiences every day, all the way up until I moved out at 19. Some were terrifying and some were comforting. We had many resident spirits that just stayed around. Some were human and some definitely weren't human. Each had its own personality and temperament. I still have experiences to this day when I go to visit my parents. The first experience I remember was when I was about 6 years old. I was sitting on the couch in one of the viewing rooms, and I got the feeling of being watched. I looked up and saw a woman standing in the corner of the room. She was a young woman in her mid-20s. She was wearing a black dress. She was very pale, and she had long red hair. She smiled and waved at me, then said, "Hello, little girl." I said hello back, and she smiled again, then disappeared. She would become known as Alice. She was the most extroverted and nice of the resident spirits in the funeral home. She was very talkative. I formed a very good relationship with her, and she pretty much became like a second mother to me. Here's a summary of my experiences with her. I would see her almost every day standing in the corner or in the middle of the room. She was always smiling, and she always said hello. When I would get off the bus from school, she would always be standing there when I would walk in the door to greet me. She would smile and say hello, and then she would ask how my day was. I would say hello, tell her about my day, and then she would disappear. One time in high school, I snuck out to go to a party, and she appeared to my mother in her bedroom and told on me.
Oh my god.
Every mother's dream to have a ghost to
Literally.
rat on their children. My mother was waiting up for me in the kitchen when I returned. She protected me from one of the darker, non-human spirits that hung out in the embalming room. The first time I wandered into the room, right after we moved in, I saw a spirit that definitely didn't seem human. It looked like a young girl that was wearing a gray t-shirt and black pants. Its skin was like scales. It was very reptilian looking. It had a forked tongue like a snake and red eyes.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so scary.
I would be so scared.
I would never want to live there.
Mm-mm. Even just seeing that lady, even if she was nice, that would still freak me
that would
out.
still be scary as a kid.
Ugh. The first time I saw it, I had wandered into the embalming room for the first time. I was just exploring right after we had moved in. I heard a loud growl and looked up, and it was just standing there staring at me. I was paralyzed with fear. Then Alice appeared. It looked at her and kind of leaned its head to the side like a dog that's curious about something. She told it to leave me alone, and it growled and took a step towards me. Alice then stepped in front of me, and this reptilian thing then looked absolutely terrified. Then Alice stuck her arm out, and this thing started to levitate and was choking. It looked like the Darth Vader choke. Alice then moved her arm to the side, and it flew into the wall and disappeared. After that, Alice turned around, got on her knees in front of me, and told me to be more careful, then disappeared.
I love Alice.
I know, she's so nice. She was like, "Hey, girl." I don't know if Alice is human, but I'm not sure. You guys can tell me what you think. She is seemingly very powerful. Now, to give a summary of my experiences with the reptilian spirit. The experience with Alice protecting me. One time I saw it in one of the hallways, and it climbed up the wall onto the ceiling and just stared at me and growled, then disappeared.
Oh, that's
Don't love
so
that.
scary.
I saw it every time I walked in or past the embalming room. It would just stand there and stare.
Oh, that's so
I would
creepy.
never go in there.
I would be so paranoid and like
Yeah.
anxious all the time.
Ugh. It never tried to attack me. I think it was because Alice scared it to death. Now to talk about the spirit that we called the Gray Man. We would see him in the chapel. He was tall and wearing a gray suit and black tie. Most of the time he just stood there. Sometimes he would wave. He was an older man. He never really bothered anybody. He typically just kept to himself. He was quite protective over the organ in the chapel. Maybe that's what he was attached to. There was a spirit of a little girl that hung out in the living room. She wore a pink dress and had long blonde hair. Most of the time you would hear her laughing, then she would appear in front of you, then run away and disappear.
Like a little
Little,
mischievous
yeah.
child.
To hear
That's
the
so
laughing and
creepy.
then for
Yeah,
like I could just
laughing and
imagine,
running.
yeah,
Like,
just like appearing right in front of you.
mm-hmm.
Then there was a spirit we called the General. He was a young man that wore what looked like a military dress uniform from possibly the Civil War. He never really said anything to us, but he was always polite and would tip his hat when he would see us. There was an elderly couple that we would sometimes see standing side by side. They were dressed in Victorian style clothes. That's just some of the experiences that my family have had. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Also, feel free to message me.
That's so creepy.
Mm,
I would not want to live there as a
no,
kid. I'd be scared 24/7, I feel like.
me too. I was just thinking, like, I don't think I could ever do it because I don't think I could handle the whole process of like embalming a body.
Mm-mm.
But at the same time, I feel like I could be a mortician.
Oh my god, I could never. I would like have nightmares.
Well, same, yeah. Because then I think about like all the like reconstruction that they do to some people, like when they have bad accidents. I couldn't do that. I could
And
not.
like, what if they like attach to you because
Yeah.
you're like doing stuff to their body? And like, what if they follow you home or something?
I
Or
so badly want to ask the people who like work in the funeral home across the street because they like
I
live
know,
there.
yeah.
I want to know. Every once in a while, I'll be working, and then it's like I start work at 7:30 in the morning, and I'll hear like their garage open, and you'll see like the hearse come out of the
Oh
garage.
my
And then they also
god.
have like a van in there too, and I think like, are they going to get a body
Yeah,
right now,
yeah.
or?
Yeah, I want to like ask them a bunch of
Hmm.
questions.
Because I've seen them leave too, like late at night.
What if we asked them if we could do like an investigation in there?
That would be pretty cool. But then
I would be
imagine
scared.
they're like, no. And then
Yeah,
I'm like,
and then
and
you're
then they're
across
like,
the street from
yeah.
them, and
And
they're
they're like,
just
there's
like,
my creepy
there's
neighbor over
that
there.
weird lady that wanted to come in here.
Can I just look around, please?
Can we just be where the bodies were?
Yeah. I just want to set this little device up quick.
There's this girl, like, I think her name is like Lauren the Mortician. Do you know who that is? Like on TikTok?
I think
And she
so.
makes like videos talking about creepy things that have like happened as a mortician. There's so many creepy stories that I've
Oh
heard
my
from her.
gosh.
Like, it would be, I would just be scared all the time. And you're like
Mm.
alone. You're not
Yeah.
like with multiple like other like coworkers. You're
Yeah.
usually like by yourself.
It's like you and I guess your significant other if you live there.
Yeah.
It makes me think of like Haunting of Hill House, where
Mm-hmm.
one of the sisters was a
Yeah.
mortician.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's so
it's like
scary.
just attached to your house. That's just so
And there's so
creepy.
much like residual like energy probably like lingering there, and like
Yeah.
people that are like stuck maybe if they never like
Yeah, I
transitioned.
always think like people who had like accidents and
Yeah,
died suddenly.
like traumatic ones.
Yeah, they probably don't know what's going on, so they probably followed their body wherever it went, and
Mm-hmm.
then, ooh, I don't know.
Freaks me out.
Mm-hmm. So this one's from Smokahontas 11. This one was from 6 years ago, but it says, not even a half an hour ago. Oh, the title of it, Haunted Funeral Home. Nothing too crazy. Not even a half an hour ago, I just had one of the freakiest paranormal experiences I've ever had in a while. To give you some backstory, I live in an apartment attached to a funeral home. I'm a mortuary science student, and I work for this funeral home to get the experience while I'm in school to be a mortician. Oh, the funeral home happened to have a vacant apartment set previously in the back that I couldn't possibly turn down. As I moved away from home for this school and I needed an inexpensive place to live. Since the day I moved in, I've been having notable paranormal experiences. For a couple months, I kept them to myself, not wanting to seem like I was feeding into some spooky funeral home stigma or making it up. But eventually, I was experiencing enough that I had to bring it up to a coworker of mine, and she confirmed that she and a few other employees had seen and heard the same things I have. That being said, it's not news to any of us that the place is haunted, if that's what you want to call it. Now, on to my story. Today, after I got home from classes and went home, I was feeling extremely uneasy. My apartment felt extra dark and I felt sort of jumpy. I was standing in my bathroom braiding my hair, and one of my coworkers texted me. She said she has a weird feeling and asked me to go check the front doors of the funeral home to make sure they are locked. I read her text as I braided my hair, and her next message pops up. I'm 99% sure I locked it, but I just have a nagging feeling about something. I told her I'd go check. I finished braiding my hair and slipped on my shoes and walked to the door in my apartment that opens into the back of the funeral home. Now that alone would freak me out.
Mm-mm.
The lights are off, and I don't bother turning them on as the motion sensor in the hallway always kicks on by themselves. I made my way to the front lobby, which was dark, not counting the light through the front door windows. I walked to the front doors and pushed. Sure enough, both unlocked. At that moment, I had a really heavy feeling like someone was behind me or watching me. I kept turning around to look, but standing by the light at the doors and looking into the dark lobby made it almost impossible to see. I hurried up and locked the doors and made my way back through the lobby. As I was about to enter the hallway, I hear a little girl giggling. I stopped dead in my tracks for a moment, just at the end of her giggling. It sounded like it was coming from behind a door not 6 feet away from me. I got chills on my entire body and hightailed it back into the lit hallway and into my doorway. I locked the door behind me and immediately heard a loud bang from a room in the funeral home. I have no idea what it was, but it was loud, and I'm not about to go check. I was standing there, shitting my pants. I texted my coworker back saying the doors were both unlocked. And as I'm typing her my story of what happened, she says, IDK man, I've been getting weird vibes in there all day. I think maybe it's safe to say the spirits in here are extra active today. It had been a few weeks since I've had anything too strange happen, but now I'm extremely on edge. There are two spirits that myself, as well as three other coworkers, have all seen. One is of a little girl. She looks maybe 8 years old. She's slightly taller than average, but she shows herself so briefly you wonder if you even saw it. I would almost say she looks 10, but when we hear her giggle, she sounds like a young girl of maybe 6 years old. The other is a tall, shadow like man who wears a long black coat and a black hat. He's an entirely different story, though. Sounds like that, man.
Yeah.
I'm chilled right now. Some days in here feel weirder than others, and tonight feels like the kind where I probably won't get any sleep. I feel so anxious right now. Usually these things happen in waves, so I feel like I'm just waiting for the next thing to happen. Thanks for reading. And then there's an edit and 5, 6, 7 more paragraphs.
Oh my gosh.
Edit. I'm so amazed at all the feedback I got on this post, and I appreciate all of you taking the time to read. A lot of people have asked that I share more of my experiences here at the funeral home and in my apartment, so I figured I'd add them here and just start from the beginning. The day I moved in, I was trying to clean and dust everything as I unpacked. I was listening to music and polishing one of my end tables when something caught my eye. I glanced up towards my hallway where the bathroom is located and briefly saw what looked like a little girl peeking at me from behind the
Mm.
doorframe. I did a double take and she was gone. I paused my music and kind of stood there with a stupid look on my face, I'm guessing. I heard a soft rustling noise from the bathroom, like the sound of maybe a shower curtain. I walked over to the bathroom and peeked in, but of course, there was nothing there. Ooh, just
So
like
creepy.
kids
And like
ghosts.
peeking.
Yeah,
I
just
hate
like,
that.
hey.
It's so creepy. Like something like hiding, watching you.
Yeah. My first few nights there were pretty normal. Some strange noises like bumps on the wall, knocking, brushing noises, but I attributed it all to the fact that I was in a new place and those noises were probably normal in the building. One night, I was taking a shower, minding my own business, when I felt an ice cold air on my back. I didn't have the air on at this time, and there are no windows in my bathroom that could cause a draft. I felt immediately uneasy and peeked out behind my shower curtain to see that everything was normal. I went back to showering and tried to pretend nothing happened. As I was facing the water, my towel that was draped over the curtain rod fell to the floor. I jumped and whipped around and quickly peeked behind the shower curtain again. Nothing. I was pretty shaken now, and I picked my towel and draped it back over the rod. I tried to hurry up and finish my shower. Just as I was about to turn off the water, I hear my bathroom door click. In absolute fear and panic, I am ready to nakedly fight someone. I ripped open the curtain to see my door slowly opening. I stood there and watched until it slowly reached the door stop. I said something along the lines of, "Oh my freaking god," or no, "Oh my fucking god," through tears and fumbled for my towel and ran out of my bathroom. I got dressed and left for the rest of the day and didn't come back until about 9 that night. Nothing happened the rest of that evening. After that, things were pretty quiet for a while. To leave during the day and come back at
I
9
know,
o'clock
that's
at
what I was
night.
thinking. Like, I wouldn't be going back there.
Mm-mm.
I'd be like going back there with somebody with me, like
Yeah,
at all times.
absolutely. Around 2 weeks later, it was a little after midnight and I was doing laundry. My washer and dryer are in the actual prep room where we embalm people.
Oh my god.
So to do laundry, I'd have to go into the back hallway of the funeral home. I had just put in a load of wash and was walking back to my apartment door at the very end of the hallway. I heard a door latch, kind of like the door was closed in the frame, but not latched, if that makes sense. It made me jump, and I turned around, and at the end of the hallway, I saw a tall shadow man. Now, the owner of the funeral home was a big man who wears a long black coat in the winter and has this black cowboy hat sort of thing he wears. So, for a split second, I thought maybe it was my boss who had come in for something, but it wasn't. Felt like a good 2 to 3 seconds that I watched him cross the end of the hallway and he just disappeared into thin air almost as I was focusing on him. I mentioned in my original story that there are motion sensor lights in the hallway, and these lights were all on during this encounter. He was tall and big. He had a hat on similar to the one my boss wears and was black from top to bottom, like a really opaque shadow. Needless to say, I almost shit my pants. I bolted back into my apartment and locked the door. I was so scared and in so much disbelief, I was actually lightheaded and had to sit down. I still didn't mention him or the little girl I saw to anyone I work with. One day when I came home from class, I noticed my microwave time had changed to military time. I didn't think anything of it, and I messed with the settings, switching it back. The next night I was working, cleaning one of the lounges, I noticed that the time on the microwave in there was on military time too. At that point, I honestly figured maybe there was a power outage, and when the microwaves kicked back on, they just went wonky and switched to military time. This was until the next day, which was my day off. I slept in and lounged in my bed for like an hour, and one of my best friends called me. We had been talking for about 20 minutes, and I was like, alright, I should probably get up and do something. I glanced to see what time it is, and my alarm clock was on military time. My alarm clock is a cheap battery operated alarm that doesn't even plug into the wall. I've had it for about 4 years and had never seen it switch to military time. I went silent on the phone and stared at the clock, trying to find some sort of logical explanation. The microwaves kind of made sense at first, but then my alarm clock, I couldn't shake that feeling it meant something. I didn't even know microwaves could go into military time.
I did just because that's how I have like my clocks on my phone and stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't set them to military time. But you have to like go out of your way to like change it. Like I feel like it
Oh,
doesn't automatically do that even if the power
no.
goes out. Like it just goes back to like zero
Yeah.
basically.
Every microwave I've ever had, at least.
So that's like weird,
Yeah.
especially since it was like two separate places and like her personal alarm clock
Yeah.
and the kitchen one.
Not long after that is when things got considerably spookier. Probably about 3 days later, I was coming back home one afternoon from classes. I came right in and threw my keys and my purse on the kitchen table and then turned my back to the table to plug the sink and start running water to do my dishes. Oh, plug the sink. I was thinking like she had to plug her sink in. I was like, what? My dishes had been piling up. Swore to myself I'd do them first thing when I got home.
That's
Eh.
me.
I was letting the sink fill and turned to get my keys and purse from the kitchen table and put them on the end table by my door, which is where I always place them so I don't forget them when I'm running out the door at 3 a.m. on a 3 a.m. death call.
Oh.
Oof. My purse was there, but my keys were not. I had just come in and threw them on the table. It took a few seconds to get the sink ready, so they didn't get up and walk away in that sort of time. Bewildered, I started looking under the table, on the floor, patting my pockets, trying to find my keys. I had just put them there. Frustrated, I go to plop down on the couch and ponder if I'm going crazy. I have a heavy quilt on my couch. I like my place chilly. Same.
Me too.
And when I went to lift it and sit down, there were my keys. I didn't go anywhere near my couch when I came in. I'm 100% positive I put my keys on the table next to my purse when I came in, and there was no reason they'd be under the quilt. But that wasn't the weirdest part. On my keyring, I have my parents' house key and my car key on the main keyring, and a second keyring is attached to that one with my apartment door key on it. The keyring with the apartment key on it was stretched and bent as if someone tried to rip the keyring straight off the other one. The keyrings aren't flimsy, bendy ones either. I could hardly open them enough to lock the keyrings together when I put them on. It would have taken serious force to completely open the keyring like that. I actually do have a picture of my keys somewhere on my laptop that I will locate and attach later, so you guys can see what I mean. Anyway, my stomach dropped through my asshole when I saw my keys there, all fucked up under the blanket. I almost didn't even believe I was seeing it all correctly, and I felt a little crazy. At this point, I was feeling like I should at least vent to someone about what was going on. A night or two after that, I was working a visitation with an older woman who has worked for my boss for a long time. She's my favorite coworker, as she's easy to talk to and reminds me of my grandma or something. Anyway, she asked me how I was getting settled in the apartment and if I was enjoying it. I told her how much I love my apartment, but that there were some weird things that don't make sense. She asked what I meant, and honestly, I didn't even want to say it because I didn't want her to think I was crazy or bullshitting her. After my hesitation, I just asked if she thought the funeral home was haunted. She explained to me that she had some strange experiences here, as well as a couple others I work with. They've all heard loud screaming and moaning from time to time in the prep room. They'd hear giggling, unexplained doors opening and slamming, etc. What upset me most was that she told me about a tall black man with a hat had been seen in the back hallway a couple times. At that point, I word vomited and told her everything that had happened since I moved in. That was the night that I felt like it was confirmed to me that there was something or some things here. I sort of wanted to vomit. I was so scared, but at least I knew I wasn't crazy. For a few weeks after that, nothing huge happened. I would always hear strange noises at night. It's not uncommon to hear a door open and close by itself somewhere in the funeral home. I've always heard people talking, hear coats sliding around on the floor, and the same moans and screams my coworkers have all heard. This has become almost normal to me, so although it's freaky, it wasn't bothering me directly, and I could live with that, at least for a little while. Once again, things picked back up one day when I was in my bedroom putting clothes away. I was sitting on my floor folding a mountain of laundry when I heard a loud, clear as day sound of a man clear his throat in my living room. The kind of that you do to get someone's attention. Oh, it was so clear and real, I didn't even think ghost. I was confused for a moment, thinking maybe my boss had come in to speak to me, but surely he'd knock. Nobody ever would just walk in here. I hopped up and stepped into my living room. Nobody there. I peered around the corner to see if anyone was in my bathroom. No one. The realization that I was alone set in and my stomach sort of dropped. But honestly, I was so used to so much activity that after a few minutes of pacing around in disbelief, I shook it off and went back to folding laundry. In the most recent weeks, the most I've experienced are normal sounds and voices and bumps in the night I always hear. One night, a couple random lights and my TV all shut off at once, unexpectedly, and I had to go into the funeral home utility room to flip the switches in the breaker box. I noticed that when I have someone over and start telling them about the spirits, the lights of the TV will shut off. A friend of mine has experienced this with me on 3 different occasions. That pretty much catches me up on the original story I posted here. It's been an absolute ride being here. Some nights it's nothing, and some nights I sleep with the blankets over my head. I really appreciate you all taking the time to read. It actually feels sort of therapeutic to share with you all, and I never guessed so many people would be interested in my story. Thanks everyone for being so cool and giving me so much feedback. She never posted that picture of her keys.
And that one, the one that was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So I wonder, like, what else happened
Yeah.
besides what she put on there. Like, how long did she live there, or does she still live there?
That's a great
I
question.
could not do it.
No, me neither.
I feel like my body would always be like anxious or like scared, and I wouldn't
I
be able to relax ever.
mm could be too much.
And I feel like the spirits would be like trying to like get your attention. If you're the one that's like always there and you're the
Mm-hmm.
one like doing stuff, they're probably like drawn to you to like,
Yeah.
if they're trying to get help or like communicate, or if they're bad or like anything.
Yeah. I mean that Hatman spirit. I feel like I read that when we read about urban legends or
Yeah.
something like that when we did
Mhm.
I did the Hatman or something, or Shadow People. It had said that some people think that the Hatman is more like a warning or
Mhm.
something that it's not necessarily a bad spirit, but like
Yeah.
everyone
But
gets a
he's
bad feeling from there.
like a omen kind
Yes,
of.
yeah.
Oh, that would just freak me
Freak me
out.
out. Yeah. Ugh. I don't know. Funeral homes, they are always so interesting to me.
I
Any funeral
know.
I've ever been to at a funeral home, I'm like,
Mhm.
this is just. But to live somewhere like that,
I know.
and then just like have your apartment be attached.
I'm just like thinking about the show Ghosts. Have you seen that show? It's
Is that the
where
one?
this girl inherits a house from like her aunt who died, and then
Yeah.
she like falls down the steps and like hits her head, and then when she goes back she can like see all the ghosts that
Yeah,
live
it's like a
there.
comedy, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I haven't really seen a lot of it. I've seen a lot of clips of it. Is
Yeah,
really what it
it's
is.
really good. But that's like what I'm picturing. Like if you had a funeral home, like she probably just can't see them, but I'm just picturing ghosts that like just live there
Yeah.
and are like walking around all the
I would
time.
rather it be something like that, like
I
a
know,
funny
me
thing.
too.
Like you've just got all these
Mhm.
ghost roommates, pretty much.
That's like what I would have to tell myself is
Yeah.
happening
I'd
if
have
I
to be like,
lived
they were
there.
all human once.
And they live here with me, and they're
Yeah.
just like trying to talk to
They're
me.
just my non paying roommates.
Yeah.
That would be me in the middle. Like during the day, I hear something. I'd be like, are you paying rent?
Mhm.
Get out.
I know. It makes me just wish that we could see like things that we can't see.
I
Like
know.
what is causing the noises and stuff that she's hearing. Like I wish we just knew.
And like screaming,
Yeah, like
that would freak
why,
me out.
like they're trying to scare her or something,
Or they're like
maybe.
reliving something. I don't know.
Yeah, like they're like living something traumatic again or
Yeah.
something, trying to get attention. I
The
don't know.
giggling would freak me out.
Yeah. Because that seems like they're trying to like
Yeah.
scare you. Why funeral homes are often haunted. There's a few different like scenarios that I think they could be haunted. So the top one that I feel is like residual energy. Like there's so many different people and like energies and
Yeah.
like going through the home. So these spaces are where families process grief, bodies are prepared, and final goodbyes happen. The emotional energy can imprint on the building. And then lingering spirits. Some believe spirits may linger near their bodies until burial or cremation. Or portals and thresholds. Funeral homes are seen as liminal spaces between life and death, which can attract entities too.
Yeah.
So those that makes sense to me too, like attracting some type of entity there.
Mm-hmm.
Some cultures believe the spirit lingers near the body for 3 days, which could fuel activity in the funeral home. Paranormal investigators say embalming rooms often hold the most energy because they're where the deceased are handled most directly. And objects connected to the dead, like caskets, clothes, or even embalming tools, can sometimes be considered haunted relics, which makes sense to me
Yeah.
too.
Also the 3-day thing, that makes sense.
Yeah, because they're kind of like in like limbo area,
Yeah.
like in between,
And
like
that's,
trying to process dying and like crossing over
yeah.
probably.
And like the old tradition in other cultures where they cover mirrors and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
because they don't want the spirits to go
Mhm.
into them and get trapped or whatever. That would make sense if they're
Mhm.
lingering for multiple days.
And in like nursing homes and stuff, when someone like passes away in there, you like open the windows and stuff for a few days so that they're not like trapped in the bedroom.
Oh,
So that's like another kind of superstition. Like if you
yeah.
don't do that, they could be stuck in the nursing home. So
Huh.
that could be why some nursing homes are like haunted if they don't do that
They didn't
maybe.
open the window.
Mhm.
That would
Yeah,
make sense. Yeah.
it would. Now, most of the time when we talk about haunted funeral homes, we're dealing with whispers, shadows, or strange feelings in the air. But every once in a while, a story comes along that completely eclipses all the rest. A case so unsettling that it makes people question what really lingers in places touched by death. And one of the most infamous examples didn't happen in some crumbling, abandoned building. It happened in a normal looking house in Southington, Connecticut, a house that had once been a funeral home and would go on to become one of the most terrifying hauntings ever investigated by Ed and Lorraine Warren. This is the story of the Snedeker family.
What? I don't
So
know if I've
this
heard
is
this.
what the movie The Haunting in Connecticut is based on. If you've seen
Oh,
that movie.
yeah.
So they live in an old like mortuary like funeral home in that movie.
Oh, yes. Okay, wait. I do remember this story now.
So this is based on the real life like experiences of that family.
Yeah. Okay.
So the true story of the haunting in Connecticut begins in 1986 when the Snedeker family moved into the historic home at 208 Meriden Avenue. The Snedekers were desperately searching for a home to rent in the area so their son Philip could receive treatment for his Hodgkin's lymphoma at the nearby Yukon Hospital. The house on Meriden Avenue seemed like a perfect fit, and the Snedekers rushed to move in. The Snedeker family were like any other middle class American family. They were comprised of Carmen Reed, her husband Alan Snedeker, and their four children Philip, Bradley, Alan Jr., and Jennifer. Carmen's niece Tammy also lived with the family. From the outside, it looked like any other New England home, a large two-story duplex with white clapboard siding and a spacious front lawn. But the house had a history most people would rather forget. It had once been the Hallahan Funeral Home, a place where grief and death lingered in every corner. So they claim that the guy who owned the house that sold it to them didn't tell them about it being a funeral home, and that when they went to view the house, Carmen, the mom, said that they were like renovating and that the basement was like blocked off by like tools and like paint supplies and stuff, so she like didn't look in the basement, and the basement is where all of the like morgue and embalming room and everything like that was.
Yeah. Ugh.
So Daryl Kern is the owner. He said that that was not true and that he told them about it before they moved in, so I don't know which is true, like if he
Yeah.
did tell him or if he didn't. Either way, this disturbing fact did not prevent Carmen's sons, Philip and Bradley, from claiming the basement as their own bedroom. As the oldest Snedeker children, Philip and Bradley wanted a private space of their own, and the basement was spacious compared to the smaller rooms on the upper floors. Philip and Bradley reportedly slept in the casket display room down the hall from the embalming room.
Which I feel like I'd rather that than in the embalming room.
But
But
still,
still.
anywhere in the basement. Like,
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be down
I
there at
could
all.
not do that.
Mm-mm.
In addition to mortuary equipment, the Snedekers also found images of the deceased on the property. Carmen Snedeker said there were a couple of photos in the home, but there were many toe tags and a head tag there were other personal items of the deceased there as well, which that would alone, I would be like, okay, well, why is this even still here?
Yeah.
Like, even if he did tell him that it used to be that, why is anything even there still?
I don't know why this makes me think of like Bob's Burgers. Where have you watched Bob's Burgers?
Not really.
So their burger place is right next to a funeral
I
home.
did know that.
And so sometimes one of the episodes that I literally just watched, Bob got a suit from one person that they buried. They had two suits that they were deciding, and he got one from there. And I was just thinking, like, I don't know, like, how much stuff does like a mortician? Does the family take all of it back, or is they?
Yeah.
Sometimes they keep that stuff.
But why, like, why would they
Why would
want to
they?
keep
Yeah,
it?
why wouldn't you just like throw it out?
And if you know you're like selling a house to someone, like a family that's moving in, like why would there be like equipment and like toe tags
Yeah,
and like stuff from the morgue still in the
yeah.
basement?
Unless they were too lazy to.
Yeah,
But
it's
still,
just weird
yeah.
still. Like I feel like that just would be such a weird thing to
It's
leave
not a
there.
medical place, but I'm just like HIPAA. It's
Yeah.
breaking HIPAA laws.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm guessing it had like their names on it
I
and
would,
also like
yeah,
pictures of them, which is weird.
yeah,
And
yeah. That is
that's
weird.
back when like when they used to take pictures of like dead people, like you know how they would like pose them and
Mm-hmm.
like take pictures of them. So I don't know if that's, I'm guessing that's the photos they're talking about.
That would make more sense than what I was thinking.
Yeah, and in the movie, it like I remember they found like the canister of like pictures and they were looking through them and they're like these people are all dead. Like they're all dead in these
Oh
photos.
my gosh, I haven't seen that movie in so
I
long. I
know,
have
I
to
want to
rewatch
watch it
it. Yeah.
again. Almost immediately, the family began noticing odd occurrences, subtle at first, then terrifyingly direct. Cold spots clinging to rooms, strange noises at night, shadows moving just out of sight. These were the first hints that something was not quite right in the Snedeker home. The activity escalated over time. Teenager Philip, who was undergoing cancer treatments, claimed he saw terrifying figures, including a man with long black hair and sunken eyes. Objects moved by themselves. Family members were pinched or scratched by unseen forces, and eerie voices called out their names. Carmen Snedeker described being grabbed while asleep and feeling paralyzed by unseen hands. Neighbors noticed strange things too. Some reported lights flickering, doors opening and closing on their own. Others were skeptical, chalking it up to imagination or stress, but the family was convinced the house was haunted. And like once you know, even if he didn't tell them and then they figured out it was, I would be like, okay, any weird thing happens, I would automatically be like, it's because we're in a funeral home.
Literally.
Like, we need to leave.
Yeah. Even like hearing noises, I'd be like, not the house. It's
Mm-hmm.
definitely the dead people here.
Yeah, literally. Especially if that stuff was still in the house. Like, there was still
Yeah.
items of deceased people in your house.
Mm.
The occurrences only escalated in intensity. Carmen claimed that while mopping the floor, the water turned into blood and gave off an acrid smell reminiscent of rotting flesh.
Oh.
The mop water was blood red. I mean, a deep, deep red. It made my skin crawl. I started getting nervous that I was ruining the floor, Carmen said in a 2002 documentary. Most shocking was the claim from both Carmen and Alan that unknown forces had raped and sodomized them. And like her and her husband are both saying, like, I feel like a guy saying that is less likely for them
Mm-hmm.
to like admit or like say
Yeah.
something like that happened. While unknown forces physically tormented the adults in the family, they seemed to take a deeper interest in Philip than ever before. The Snedekers started to worry when Philip's personality began to change. He became irritable and reckless, often inflicting cruel punishments on his younger siblings. On one occasion, Philip placed Bradley on a gurney and spun him around until the younger boy begged him to stop. He also locked his brother in a chest and walked away.
Oh my gosh.
I'd be like, he's getting possessed.
Yeah.
Like, they are possessing him.
Yep. He's losing his marbles.
The worst incident came after Philip attacked his cousin Tammy and was consequently forced to spend 45 days in a hospital. Doctors eventually diagnosed Philip with schizophrenia after he told them about the entities he saw regularly, but they noted that the medication he was given to treat his cancer could not have given him hallucinations or triggered any dormant schizophrenic illness. Mm-mm.
Sketchy.
And he's probably more susceptible to something because of how sick and like him
Mm,
getting treatments
body's breaking down.
and probably his like mental health too is probably
Yeah.
not good if he's like going through cancer and dying. Like
Yeah.
he's probably like really vulnerable to something attaching to him. The Snedeker family decided it was best to send Philip to live with relatives, and reportedly Philip stopped hearing voices and seeing spirits after this. With such strong indications of paranormal activity, the Snedeker family contacted Ed and Lorraine Warren, two paranormal investigators, as well as a priest to do an exorcism on the house. On September 6, 1988, a priest performed an exorcism on the house, and the family reported that the paranormal activity suddenly disappeared. The Warrens concluded that the house was not simply haunted by ghosts, but that demons had latched onto the family. They described the case as one of the most extreme they had ever encountered, noting that the house was steeped in negative energy from its previous life as a funeral home. Later that year, they moved out of the house and never returned, thus marking an end to the supposed true story of the haunting in Connecticut. The Hartford Courant ran a story on October 30th, 1992, summarizing the family's claims. It said, Al and Carmen Snedeker say an inhuman demonic spirit tormented them there. It terrorized their family, it pinched them, chilled them, spoke to them. That was like the title of the summary that the newspaper put out.
Just love the pinch to them.
Mm-hmm. The coverage detailed events like sudden cold blasts, apparitions, and violent encounters. The Warrens' involvement was highlighted, and the article noted that some neighbors and skeptics questioned parts of the family's story. The Hallahan Funeral Home had operated in that building for years before the Snedekers moved in. Funeral homes are inherently liminal spaces, places where life meets death and grief hangs heavy. Paranormal enthusiasts often suggest that buildings used for embalming, wakes, and long term storage of the dead carry residual energy. Some claim that emotional trauma, fear, and grief create a kind of imprint on the environment, which sensitive individuals can perceive. You could say that the Snedeker house was primed for a haunting even before the family arrived. I believe that for sure.
For sure. I mean, yeah, just the fact that it was a funeral home.
And even if something wasn't happening, like I said, like Philip being that sick and like
Yeah.
having his room down there too, where all of that is happening, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that probably didn't help.
No, not at all.
There are several ways paranormal investigators explain the Snedeker case. One, residual haunting, energy left behind by those who died or worked in the funeral home. This energy is said to replay traumatic events like a recording. Two, poltergeist activity. Some researchers think teenage stress or illness, particularly Phillips, may have triggered psychic phenomena. Objects moving, scratching, and strange noises could be manifestations of unconscious energy. Three, demonic infestation. The Warrens' perspective, the house itself is actually evil, feeding on fear and trauma. But not everyone is convinced the Snedeker house was truly haunted. Skeptics point out Philip's illness, stress, and possible side effects from medication may have contributed to unusual experiences, which the doctor said it wouldn't affect
Mm-hmm.
schizophrenia. So I
Yeah.
don't believe that.
And usually schizophrenia doesn't show itself in men until
Like
they're older.
20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it said it wouldn't affect dormant schizophrenia either, so it shouldn't like trigger it to suddenly come on.
Yeah.
And when he left, that
And then
stopped.
yeah, then he's fine.
So I think his illness definitely made him more of a target
Yeah.
because he was
Open to
weaker.
mm-hmm.
hmm They also say sleep paralysis and grief can produce sensations of being held down, seeing figures, or hearing voices. Ray Garton, the author of In a Dark Place, has said that Ed and Lorraine Warren encouraged him to fill gaps in the story when facts were missing or inconsistent. So he wrote a book about their hauntings, and that's pretty much what he was saying, is that the family would tell him inconsistent stories, and then Ed and Lorraine Warren encouraged him to like make it seem creepier than it really was, to
Yeah.
like popularize it more. So I don't know if that's true. That's just what he says what
Yeah.
happened. The Snedeker family went public with their experiences prior to leaving the residence, and Daryl Kern, which was the old homeowner, noted in 1992 from the Hartford Courant that the reported paranormal activity seemed to escalate when the family was behind on rent. He
Mm.
said, "It's a scheme to make money." Even the family's neighbor, Catherine Altimus, believed that the whole thing was a hoax. "I think they had this planned right from when they moved in," she said in the same newspaper piece. Altimus noted that the family always appeared happy and carefree whenever they were outside, not acting like a terrified family. Friends of Philip even stated that they too didn't believe the story given his personality. "He was a storyteller, he always had to be the center of attention," Jeffrey Pooler said to the Hartford Courant. 2 weeks prior to the Hollywood's film release in 2009, more people spoke out against the family's claims, including the new owner of the supposed haunted house. "We've lived in this house for 10 years. Our house is wonderful," Susan Trotta Smith, the owner of the house in 2009, told NBC Connecticut. "This is all Hollywood foolishness. The stories are all ludicrous."
Yeah, I mean,
I'm like, I don't know. I can't decide which,
yeah. It is odd that if there was so much activity and then somebody else has lived there for 10 years
that
and
they're
had
saying nothing
nothing,
happened.
it is suspicious, but I don't know, maybe it all went away after they moved
Right.
out or followed them.
Or like after the exorcism, like
Oh
maybe
yeah, I
that
forgot they
did
did that
stop
too. Yeah.
everything. Like maybe that ended it. And then maybe Philip leaving, like he wasn't like the host anymore and they
Yeah.
couldn't like feed off of him. I don't know.
I like to believe it's true. I mean, I
I
don't like to
know.
believe that there's
I
that
mean, I
negative
feel like
energy out there, but
it has to be somewhat true.
yeah.
Like I don't think they made all of it up,
Mhm.
but I guess we'll never know.
Yeah.
Today, the Snedeker House continues to intrigue paranormal enthusiasts. Some see it as proof that trauma, death, and negative energy leave a lasting mark on a place. Others see it as a story of stress, suggestion, and human psychology amplified by media attention. Whether you believe in demons, ghosts, or the power of a good story, the house on Meriden Avenue reminds us that the boundary between reality and legend is often very thin. The Snedeker Haunting is a tale of fear, grief, and the unknown, a story that has survived decades, evolving from newspaper articles to books, movies, and even podcasts. And whether it was demons, poltergeists, or just the echoes of human emotion, it's a story that will continue to chill those who dare to listen. So, if all of that did happen exactly how they said, like that is terrifying.
Absolutely. And maybe they did.
Like maybe they did exaggerate some
Yeah.
stuff. I don't know.
I know. That's hard.
Because I know, like, in the movie, so he's like having all this like cancer treatment stuff done. I know that they're like fighting a lot because they are having like money problems, and his
Mhm.
treatments are like super expensive, like all of his medication and
Yeah.
stuff. So the fact that like the landlord, well, the old homeowner was like, "Oh, it always escalated when they were behind on rent," like maybe they're like, "We need money, like we need to exaggerate what's
Yeah.
happening," but I don't
I
know.
don't know. I choose to believe it's real.
Me too.
But yeah, I mean, maybe it's just like any of the stories, like The Conjuring and everything.
Right.
They were all,
Like
I mean, the movies
somewhat.
specifically were
Yeah,
very
very
over exaggerated.
exaggerated, yeah. But I also think people saying like, "Oh, they made it up right when they moved in." Like I don't believe that. Like I
Yeah.
feel like they would have been more worried about their son who's like dying of cancer, not like, "Oh, we need to move in and make up this like
Yeah.
crazy story of what happened."
Also, like, see, she said, like, when they're outside of the house, they're all happy. Like,
Are
yeah,
they
because they're outside of
yeah.
the
Or are they
bad,
supposed to just walk around and be like with
yeah,
their heads down
scared and
like
sad. Like,
yeah.
their child is dying, so they're
Mm-hmm.
probably trying to have as much
Yeah.
of a good time as they can together.
And it didn't really give like a backstory that much about like the parents, but I know in the movie like the dad is working like nonstop and the mom is like bringing him to like treatments all the time, and he's like super sick, like puking and like looks like not good from like all his
Yeah.
treatments. So I think that they're like struggling like mentally and like financially.
Yeah, because I think too the dad was going back to like
Yeah,
their
where they,
hometown or
yeah.
wherever.
So they had like two homes, I think.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. And I think, so in the movie, I know when she bought it, like, she was looking around, she was like, why is this, like, this is a dream home. Like, why is it so cheap? Like,
Mm,
there's no way we're getting a good deal. And he was making it seem like, oh, your son is sick. Like, I want to help you out. And she got like a really good deal on
yeah.
it. So I think that maybe that was why, is because it used to be an old funeral home.
And probably had some activity in it.
Mm-hmm. So I do have a few pictures of the actual home and then of the family and then of a couple newspaper articles. So this is the home.
Oh, it's like my dream style home.
I know. That one, it looks so creepy,
Oh,
but
it
I
does.
love
I
it. Like,
love
I
it.
want to go inside of there
I
right
just
now.
that's like the all American home,
Mm-hmm.
and then at Christmas time wreaths in
Oh my
every
gosh,
window
yes,
and like the little
Christmas time
candles. Oh,
and like Halloween time, like having pumpkins and like stuff
yes.
all. I know. It reminds me of the house on Hocus Pocus of
Yeah.
Allison's
Yes,
house.
yeah.
That's like the vibes that it's giving.
There's a house in town here that is looks similar to that.
Really.
Mm.
And then, so this is one of the newspaper articles, exorcism performed in spirited home.
Ooh.
So that was like actually published in the paper back then about them. So that was September 15th, 1988.
Wow.
And then this one, couple sees ghost, skeptics see through it. So they kind of publish like different ones in the paper, like, oh,
Yeah.
exorcism, Ed and Lorraine did an exorcism. And then other ones were like, their neighbors think they're lying. Nobody believes them. And this
Phonies.
is like literally the only picture. Like, the pictures I could find of them are so blurry. This is the only like family picture, and then that's Ed and Lorraine with them. But
Oh
that's
yeah.
Carmen and Al. I'm guessing that's Tammy. And
Yeah.
then Philip, Bradley, and their daughter Jennifer.
Okay.
And then this is Carmen, and then that's Al. And then this is like a enhanced picture, but that's Philip, not during the time it was happening. That's him later in life,
Yeah. Looks like a
like enhanced through
yeah.
something to like show what he actually looked like. Because I think the picture was really old and like grainy.
Oh, so they probably yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that is the story of the true haunting in Connecticut story.
I forgot that that's what that one was based on.
Mm-hmm.
I thought
Yeah,
those were
that
two
used to
different
be like
stories.
one of my favorite movies. I used to watch like that and the first Conjuring all the time. But the haunting in Connecticut, that one used to scare me so bad. Like the funerals have always like funeral homes and like
Mm-hmm.
embalming, like morgues. That is so scary to me. Now I want to like get a hold of the people at the funeral home
Yeah,
by your house.
I know, me too. Because
Like, how
there's,
old are they? Do you?
I don't know, because there's like a teenage boy every once in a while who mows the lawn, but then there's also like an older man, like a grandpa, who mows the
Maybe
lawn.
it's their grandson. They have
Maybe,
him mow it for them.
but I feel like the people who actually run it and live there, I think it might be their son, and then they live there, and that might be like one of
Mm,
their like one of the parents' dads.
yeah.
So I think they're like could be around my mom's age, so like 40s.
Yeah, I wonder what they would say.
I don't know, because I don't even know if they. I don't think they own the funeral home. I think
Okay.
they just work the
Yeah.
funeral home. Maybe.
Maybe we'll find out.
I did meet the people who lived there before these people. Like when we first moved in, he came and offered to snowplow our little bit of a driveway we have.
Oh, really?
He was really nice, especially because they don't cremate there, so they
Oh,
have
they
like,
don't?
uh-uh. they just do they
like
do the whole.
in-between. So then that's weird that they don't do that there.
Yeah, so if you use that funeral home, then you're not cremating the person who's there.
So I wonder
So
how
they do
long
all
they're
the
there for.
embalming and
Yeah. Like I wonder how long a body is there for until it's like in the ground.
probably as long as it takes to do the funeral. I mean, I think some people. I mean, it could be a couple weeks even.
That seems like a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just creeps me out. And it makes me feel like if there was something that like could haunt the funeral home, like it could like haunt like the whole block.
Yeah.
Like your house,
Sometimes I
houses
swear
by
Lucy will be
yours.
looking outside and she'll start growling and her hair
That's
will
like
stand
what
up.
I'm thinking of. Like whenever I drive to your house and like drop off something,
Yeah.
like whenever I get out of the car and like look at the funeral home and stuff, I'm always just like, what if there's just spirits walking around like
Yeah.
outside the home, like wandering around, like, oh, where am I? What houses are these? Like
Mm-hmm.
just wander over to
Because
your house or
a lot of the
something.
houses on our block too, that's like the original part of town.
Mm-hmm.
Like my house was built in 1920.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. Could
Yeah.
be.
Just so like intriguing.
I
Like I
know.
just want to know.
I also want to know just like how their funeral home is set up. Like, do they have? Is there stuff in the basement? Like, do they have a basement that
Right.
their stuff is in? And then how do they get it from the garage
Mm-hmm.
to a
To the
basement?
base. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
And then
Like, is
back
it on the
up?
main floor? Do they have an elevator?
Yeah, do
Can
they
we go
have
inside?
Yeah, like I wanna we should
We should like,
email them or
yeah,
something.
figure
Be
out
like,
like
hey,
a
I live right across from
non-creepy
you.
way to
Yeah.
ask.
Hey, we do a paranormal podcast and we're just really interested.
They're either gonna be cool about it or they're gonna be like, "You're a freak."
Yeah.
No.
I'm hoping it's the first one.
Yeah. Okay,
Oh,
so I have one little short article
yes.
about a funeral home that happened in Colorado. So in Pueblo, Colorado, so this I'm just going to read like the snippet of what the article says. There was a phantom phone call from a funeral home.
Oh, okay,
So it's not unusual for police dispatchers to answer 911 calls only to have the caller hang up. It happened in Pueblo early. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Pueblo? Does that
It
sound
sounds
right?
right.
Pueblo?
Pueblo, Pueblo. Either one I think is right.
Yeah, either way. I don't know. I just feel like I'm saying it weird. It happened in Pueblo earlier this month, but what happened next may strike some as a little spooky. On August 11th, the Pueblo Police Department Communications Center got what they refer to as an abandoned 911 call at 3:28 a.m.
Of course.
I know, of course it's that time.
Yeah.
According to police, the call came from Imperial Memorial Gardens, a funeral home and cemetery located at 5450 West State Highway 78. An emergency services dispatcher answered the phone just as the line disconnected, but received no response from anyone on the line, police stated. An officer was sent to check it out, and the dispatcher called the number. Police documents showed the call was answered, but no one spoke. It was just static. Officers went to check out the funeral home, but it was locked up and dark with no one in sight. Probably just line trouble, right? Let's go with that. Captain Tom Rummel told the Pueblo chieftain. So he's like
He's like,
creeped out by it.
yeah.
So here's the call. Like, okay, there. You can hear like a man.
Hello?
I don't like it.
That's it.
Me as the caller. Hello.
And yeah, they went there like right after that call, and it was completely locked up. nobody was there.
Oh, that is terrifying.
So I literally feel like it was someone who traumatically died, and they were like, oh my god, why am I here? What's going on? Like, I need to call the cops to come and help me.
And they just...
Yeah, like, did I tell you about, so Jake's friend who is a cop, they like got a call to go do a wellness check on a lady in her house, and they got there and heard her say, come in, I'm in the kitchen. And they went in there, went into the kitchen. She was at the kitchen table dead.
Oh.
And the call was like traced back to her house. And like they both heard her at the door say, come in, I'm in the kitchen. So it was literally her like trying to be like, come and find my body.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in the kitchen. That,
Can you imagine being the
that's
police
so
officer and going in there and being like, oh, did that voice come
And then
from?
he said that one of them was like, so you heard that out there, right? And the other cop was like, yeah, let's just not talk about that.
I have chills thinking
Yeah.
about that. Oh,
I don't even know how I would like recover from that.
I don't either. Like, obviously in that moment you're like, oh, okay, she's in the house. And then I'd be like, there's somebody here.
Yeah, like who called?
Yeah.
It was her spirit calling. Yeah. We should do an episode on like phone calls and
Yeah,
like
because I've heard
emails and stuff like that from the dead. That's like one of the most like interesting ones to me, is when stuff like that happens, because it's like literally a sign.
Yeah, that like gives you clear confirmation almost. Yeah.
Of like the afterlife.
Yeah.
And like spirit communication.
Yeah. Oh, it's so
creepy,
cool. But so cool.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe we'll see if we can go in that funeral.
Yes. Hopefully. That would be cool. When you were trying to pronounce whatever it was, that just reminded me of my stepdad today. My mom and him were talking about making salsa, and he was like, we have to make salsa. And I was like, what?
Salsa?
I was like, what the hell did you just say? And he's like, salsa. And I was like, salsa?
Do you know how to say words?
Yeah, I was like, what do you... I was
salsa.
Like, how is salsa spelled? And he was like, I don't know, I don't spell it, I just say it.
Oh my god.
I was like, okay, buddy.
You're done.
You're done. You don't deserve salsa.
Thanks, girlies and ghoulies, for joining us. Make sure to follow our socials linked in the show notes, and email us your ghost stories and anything paranormal at girlyghosttales@gmail.com.
If you want episodes 1 week early, live ghost hunts, Tarot Tuesdays, monthly giveaways, and exclusive bonus content, join us on Patreon for $5 a month. New episodes released every Friday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Until next time, and remember, if you hear a whisper in the dark, it's probably just us.
But just in case, keep your lights on, your doors locked, and remember, the veil is always thinner than you think. Good night.
Girly Ghost Tales.